Welcome to Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
I'm Ian, your Make Complexity Casual Gamer,
I'm Stacey. I am your non-gamer gamer.
and we are here today with a special double top 10 for you, continuing our 2024 end of year series, and that is our top 10 2024 owned game covers. Yes, this is very specific. Usually top 10s I do by myself, and when we are together, we do a five and dime. And but Stacy's always about the art, and that's one of the things that draws her in. So we decided we were going to do a double top 10 for this one, and each of us are going to give you the top 10 covers we have that we own. So this is very specific. We have 29 games from, I think it is from 2024, and so we're just looking at those 29 games of ones that we own, and gonna talk about why we like those covers. Now, when I looked at the covers, I looked at a lot of stuff. I looked at the composition, including the font and all the extra words that were on it and stuff. So that's why some games, even though they have some pictures on it that I really like, maybe didn't make my list. So I kind of looked at the thing as a whole. I took this thing. I was very specific with what I was looking for. Um, and
I did not do that. Is what I did is I looked at the comparison of the two and I just went by which one was cuter, prettier, more nature oriented. Um, I didn't take any of the other stuff into consideration. So mine's kind of eclectic.
yeah, hey, that work. Each person does
But
their
I
own.
like it.
Each person does their own thing. So
Some of
yeah.
these
So
games I have never played. I
yes,
don't know what they are. I just like their cover.
that's the other thing is and honestly, there's some games on this list that I haven't played yet. But we own them. We just haven't gotten to the table. And then so there's some of them that are just games that I play solo. So let's get to our list, starting with number 10. So we're gonna do this a little differently. We're both gonna give our number 10s, and then we're gonna show you the pictures, and then we're gonna talk about them. So what is your number 10?
My number 10 is Fromage.
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 I have not played this game yet.
No. It's actually set up on my desk right now. I gotta do a solo initial impressions. Um, my number 10, I think it's gonna surprise you, is Donut Shop.
Oh.
So talk about fromage.
So fromage. I love cheese.
Yes, you do.
And someone who's a cheesemaker, maybe, is called a fromager. I don't know. I
Fromage
don't
is
know what.
cheese in France, in French, I think, or something.
I don't know.
Yes.
I took French in seventh grade and that one never came up, I don't believe.
I
But
think that's what it
anyway,
is. I don't know off the top of my head.
it's kind of like living in a cheese wonderland. Like, that would be amazing to me. Um, the cover has a big giant wheel of cheese on it, and it just reminds me of, like, if I were to pick my favorite cheese wonderland, that's where I would choose to live. That's why it's my number 10.
All right. My number 10 is Donut Shop. Um, I love the old school look of this. You're looking at this display. I like the old school look. I love the fact that they didn't, that the uh, developer is on it, or the guy, the person who created it is on it, and they've got all this stuff on it, but it's on the top and bottom. And then the logo, I think, is just, it looks like you're looking through a glass
Mm-hmm.
window. I love the established 1939. The donuts. I love all of the donuts and everything. It just looks so good. So, and I, like I said, I really like how they kind of minimalized all of the wording other than the main logo on it, and that is my number 10 Donut Shop, which I think might surprise Stacy a little bit. That is that.
Just looking at that cover,
Makes me hungry.
yes, it does.
Okay, number 9. What is your number 9?
My number 9 is Harmonies.
And my number 9 is Cafe Barris.
Oh, good choice, good choice. So, the reason I picked Harmonies is because it kind of reminds me of the Lion King um, play. Like, if you ever see the
Right,
playbill for
right.
the Lion
Yes,
King,
yes, it does.
it kind of reminds me of that. And I love me a good Broadway play. So, it also reminds me of just living in a harmonious land. Like, if only there was some cheese in the background. Um, of harmonies. Um, I would really like that, but the cover just kind of drew me in because I love Broadway plays, and that just really reminded me of The Lion King.
Nice.
And it's really minimal for how the font is on it as well.
Yeah.
It just kind of really fits the whole cover.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. Mine is Cafe Barris, and
Oh.
I love that capybara with his cup of coffee, um, and his apron on. I like that the logos in the top are minimalized. I like the fact that the name of the game is big because it looks like those fancy designs they put in coffee, so it makes sense for it to be big, and it's very wispy, so it kind of gives that look of it's moved around a little bit, and then they still have the everybody, the people involved in it, the Roberta Taylor and the art, and they have all that, but the main focus is that capybara, and it's that pun on words that capybara is capybara. So I really like that, and I just like that art on there. That
That's
is
cute.
Cafe
It's a good
Barris.
choice.
Number 8. What is your number 8?
Number 8 for me, I love these little boogers, and if I could have a whole house full of gnomes, I would do it. And so I picked Gnome Hollow as my number 8, and
Okay.
that oh
Oh wait, hold on.
oh
And my number 8 is one of two possible covers for this game. There were two versions of this game. It is the roll and write version of Cascadia, and the one that made it onto my top 10 list is Cascadia Rolling Rivers over Rolling
oh.
Hills. So now talk about Gnome Hollow.
Okay, so with Gnome Hollow, the font to me is very fitting for this game. It just reminds me of like if gnomes could write, and if they were real, that's how they would write. Because, I'm weird like that. This kind of reminds me of the actual gameplay. Like if you were to tell me that Gnome Hollow was about moving gnomes around, and trying to make paths and things like that, I would look at this cover and go, okay, that makes perfect sense. Um, and I really like the color blue that they used. So,
That is a really those are really nice colors. I
yeah,
do like the color scheme in that game.
yeah, the color schemes on it are I really like the whole color scheme of the entire game. But the cover itself, I think it just really pops to me.
Yeah.
It talks to me. If I were just to see this cover, I would want to play this game just because, he's very inviting, that little gnome.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going
he
to
is.
name him Walter.
Yeah. Okay, Walter. I think he has a name.
He does,
He
but
does.
when I play, he's Walter.
Okay. All right. And I chose Cascadia Rolling Rivers because I don't know, there's just it's very realistic looking. This bear's got this salmon probably in their mouth. It's got this beautiful river with the white caps on it, the trees, the mountains in the background. This feels to me like a picture. Like you could go see this out in the wilderness. I really like this one. I like that bear is kind of really up front and everything else kind of fades in the back, but it really gives you those views. We've got some views like this here where you can look through some mountains and you see this big white capped mountain in the background. So yeah, I that's why Rolling Rivers made my list at number 8.
Very good. Good choice.
Number 7.
Number 7 for me, oh, is River Valley Glassworks.
And number 7 for me is Wanderlust Discover the World.
Ooh, I don't know that one. But number 7, River Valley Glassworks. Not only do I love this game, but the cover to me reminds me of like an old, like 40s, 50s book that my grandpa would have read. Kind of like the Wind in the Willows artistry
Mm,
almost. And so whenever I see this particular cover, it always reminds me of my grandma and grandpa. They used to have little animals like this that we would play with when we were little, and we'd go to their house.
nice, nice. Some
So
memories.
yeah, so the memories, come pouring back to me, and plus there's otters.
I'm surprised not number 1 just for the otter.
Well, it was a tough choice. I really, I
As you guys
really,
know who follow our channel, Stacy loves otters.
yes. And I didn't want to be called out just for that specific,
Hey,
that I
if
was
that's the reason,
being,
that's the reason.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
But if I were to redo my list today, it probably would be completely different.
Probably.
So,
Nice. That's a good one.
yeah.
Spoiler, that one did not make my list. I know it did not make my list. Yeah. I don't know. I
Calling
don't
my
know.
a
I'm not
charmer.
gonna say what. I'm not gonna say reason why. I don't know. It just did not make my
Hmm.
list. My number seven is Wanderlust: Discover the World. It is a game that we still do need to get to the table. I kickstarted it. I really like. So this game, I believe, is about like it's about traveling the world. So you're discovering the world. So I really like how you have like different things on this cover that you're traveling. I love the two hikers out front with their big backpacks, and the one looks like and they look like they have maps, like they're looking where they're gonna go. And you've got all these different things. You've got this gorgeous bridge. You've got a mountain in the background. You've got this boat up front on the river. You got this road going around. You got this city in the background. And I think one thing I really like about this, the the font and the coloring on the font makes me feel like a sunset. And
Mm.
I think the coloring on the font really works, and I like this sort of cursive-ish font, because it isn't too harsh, and I like the fact that the lines in the art are not like super strong lines, and they kind of go into each other. So it's a really elegant cover. I really like this one. Um, and that is Wanderlust: Discover the World.
Nice. I like that.
Number six.
Number six, we have already discussed, but I really like this, and that is Cafe Barris.
Well, my number six, Stacy's already discussed, and that is Fromage. So why don't you
Oh.
start with what you like about Cafe Barris?
Okay, so with Cafe Barris, whenever I go to the zoo, I always have to go see the Cafe Barris. He's like largest rodent. I don't know if you're aware of that, but he is the largest rodent, and he doesn't get enough love from people. I don't think. But I also like it for the same reason that Ian likes it. I love the coffee cup, with the front view with that fancy cafe barris on the front that makes it look like you're holding that cup of tea or coffee, or whatever hot beverage that they have, and that you are getting ready to serve it to somebody. And that again plays a lot off of what's happening inside of the game. Like Ian said, the cafe barris, the font that they used, the little guy holding the cup, like he's getting ready to walk across and serve it to somebody. It's just stinking cute. Who's the artist on this? Do I know? Do we
The
know?
artist on this one is, I'm looking at the thing, Cindy Monroy.
Okay.
Monroy? I can't read. I think it's Monroy. Monroy? Monroy. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's did a really good job with making him look furry and everything. It's just cute.
I like that one. Yep. Obviously I like it. It
Yeah,
was on
it
my list.
was on your
Okay,
list.
fromage for me. I really like the colors on this one. I like the cheese. I like all the cheese on it, and the different the hard cheese, the soft cheeses, the blue cheeses. I love that little city back there that you're going and you're making all of your different things. I love all the roundness because the board is round and it makes sense. I like the I personally like the sign hanging down from the top of the box because it feels like you're going into a shop. And that
Mm.
sign looks like it'd be hanging outside of a cheese shop in France. I believe it's France. Um, uh, and so it feels like you would be heading to a shop, and that would be a sign that's hanging outside the shop. So that's why this one kind of, I do like, once again, this is another one that has kind of those soft edges, and
Mm.
everything just kind of goes into each other. So fromage, my number six.
And it's a cheese wonderland.
It is.
Hmm.
Number five. I gotta open my iPad back up. It just went to sleep on me. All right.
My number five is Windmill Valley.
My number five is Nocturne.
Oh. Now, Windmill Valley, um, one of my dream places to go is to go to the Tulip Festival that they have in, is it like Oregon?
Netherlands.
Well, there's
Oh,
the
oh, oh,
Netherlands,
sorry.
but that one's gonna cost a lot more. But there's a Tulip Festival. I want to say in like Oregon or Washington.
Oh,
And that is one of my checkmark places that I really want to go. But I also want to go to Holland, just to see all of the tulip fields that they have. Um, I love
oh yeah,
flowers.
Holland, not Netherlands.
Did I say
I
Holland?
did. I said
Oh,
Netherlands
oh.
to you.
Um, but I love flowers. I sketch flowers sometimes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that one just it's just pretty to me. Um, the Windmill Valley, the logo on the front, I don't know what it is, but it just reminds me of Little House on the Prairie. Like it's just
Yeah.
kind of like this homey font that just kind of draws you in and makes you want to go visit.
I like that. It's another soft cover.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Nocturne, I really like the solo animal in it. That fox with the kind of like wizard's sort of cloak, and I love that it's like this light
Mhm.
that's dripping off of it. It looks like it's kind of he's holding something. It's dripping down. It's going along the ground to maybe give it some magical powers. I love the fact that the font also feels a little magical, and it really goes with it. Kind of it brightens it up. You got this dark tree, but then everything kind of glows. I really like that aspect of it. That
Mhm.
it's kind of got this darkness and this mysteriousness about it, and you can see this glowing light just kind of going around this tree into the background. You can see some little specks in the tree, and then the font. It really works well with the theme of this with this cover and stuff. So yeah, I really like the cover for Nocturne.
That's a good choice. I like that.
Number 4. What is
Oh,
your number 4?
my number four is not only my number four, but it is my funnest game to say, and this Space Agency.
Really? Because my number 4 is also Blem. And I've actually the reason Stacey says that is because I told her at some point that was the I was someone said that it was the sound cats make when they puke.
It is.
But now I'm hearing it's the sound they make when they're just like, so I don't know.
Nom,
Yeah,
nom, nom,
whatever.
nom.
But hey, look at that. We got a true crossover here at number 4 with Mlem Space Agency. Go ahead.
Okay, so for me personally, I love the font on the Mlem part of it, where you have the little cat heads for the M's.
The M's are awesome.
That
The M's,
is
perfect.
should have been number one. If I'd have done this again, it'd probably be number one because just because of the M's in the cat heads.
And then the combination of the spaceship coming off of the E. Like
Yes,
the
that's
cats and the
amazing.
space, just awesome. Just awesome.
It's fantastic. But the cat on the left holding the
Oh my god, I
spatula,
love him.
um, he's just looks like he's just ready to go have a good old fashioned barbecue or something. He's ready to chow down some cat chow. The cat on the far right reminds me of my cat Princess, who was a male, but was all black. But he has the same eyes and he has like kind of like that same attitude like Princess had. Um, the cat in the middle.
He just
mm,
looks like he's ready to take charge. He's like,
yeah,
okay, let's go. Let's do
yeah.
this. We're just going for this experience. I agree. I like the fact that they're kind of standing behind the planet, but then there's two
Mm-hmm.
more. There's a planet behind him. You got the spaceship in the background. I love the color of the font that they use for this because it
Mm-hmm.
stands out, but it doesn't take away from anything. I like that the designers' names are up in the top. They're smaller, but they're still there. I do believe all designers should be on the covers, and everybody who like that kind of stuff should be on the covers. But I don't also want a bunch of names and stuff giant on and taking up the majority of the box. So I do like that they use the same color, so it kind of fades in. It looks a little spacey, and then the Rebel Studios logo just kind of out there, down there in the corner. I agree with Stacey. I love that cat, that green cat, that green space cat. He's just like, yummy, 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 yummy. Like my spatula. I got my spatula. I don't know why.
I
Um,
think he's my spirit animal.
and then just how all three of them have different spacesuits on and just different expressions, and you kind of can feel
Mm-hmm.
like their expressions. And I like that The pink one is holding her helmet, like ready to get going, and the blue one is just okay. We get this what we got to do. He's like ready to take charge and stuff. So I really like this. I love the I like I said, I like the three different spheres that are on it, with one
Mm-hmm.
being full and two and one being way out in front and one being behind a little bit. But I like the space behind it. I like that it's not just that's just like these multicolored blues with some stars in it, and it really kind of makes you feel like you're in space. So
I like that each cat has their own personality.
yes, that's a big draw on that one. So
So,
hey, true crossover. Wow, out of
mm,
29 games, that's all
that's
these games. When we're looking for completely different things, that is pretty impressive. That is a true crossover. All right, moving on to number three.
my number three is Cascadia Rolling Rivers. I believe
Oh.
you already talked
Yes,
about
that is
that
the
one.
one I talked about. And my number three is one Stacey's already talked about. A lot of crossovers, and that is Windmill Valley.
Oh, good choice. For Cascadia Rolling Rivers, a lot of what Ian said about that. But for me personally, this reminds me a lot of where I grew up. I'm from Montana originally, living in Colorado. So the terrain isn't really all that different, but I lived closer to the mountains in Montana, and we had a lot of these kinds of rivers. We had, grizzly bears, we had the fish. It just makes me kind of homesick when I see it.
And yes, we know the Cascadia region is Washington.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
but
do know that. I am aware of that. But if you grew up in, I guess Montana is considered the Northwest.
yeah, the
It
Pacific.
depends on
It's
which
the
map you
Northwest.
look
Yeah,
at.
it's not the Pacific
Um,
Northwest, but it's the
right.
Northwest
Um,
mountain region. I don't know.
Glacier National Park. I don't know if you've heard of that, but beautiful place like that. And with I call it a grizzly bear. I can't tell if it's a grizzly bear or not,
Or a brown bear.
or a brown bear. But we've got lots of bears where I'm from, and so I think that this one just reminds me of home.
Nice, nice. I like that one. It was on my list as well.
Yeah,
My number three was also on Stacy's list. So we seem to have a very similar interest in the cover art.
yeah.
We've had a lot of crossovers. There's only a couple so far that have not been on the other person's list. Windmill Valley. I like. So I'll kind of start in the back. I like the that like half of this is like this blue sky with these big puffy white clouds. I think the Windmill Valley logo really feels like it's wispy in the air. You got those two gorgeous windmills in the background. I love the five different colored rows of tulips that are there, the white, the yellow, the red, the purple, and the black. There is no true
Right.
there is no true black, but it is a very very dark purple. So there is no true black. From what I was reading, in the manual, there is no true black tulip. There is one that is a extremely dark purple. But on the cover, it's just looks like a dark purple.
Is that like the one we had growing out in the garden? That dark purple one we
It could have
had?
been. It could have been.
Huh.
It could have been. And then I like the fence, so it kind of cuts off that area. Oh, I just noticed there's a third windmill way in the back. Way in the back. There's a third windmill, and then the little house next to the yellow windmill. And then I like how it kind of cuts it off with that fence, and you get almost this next scene where you got these people on the road. You got the person walking on the road, on the right or on the path, and then you got this woman picking some tulips with some in baskets in the kind of in the front, and then you've got this whole other kind of sweeping red um, row of tulips. So I just thought it came away together really well. Once again, I like the fact that Danny Garcia's name is on there, but it is small enough where it doesn't take away. I love the fact that the logo is white on here and all this stuff is white, so it kind of fades into the background a little bit. So just really came together for me, and that is Windmill Valley. Moving on to our number twos.
Number two, Cascadia Rolling Hills.
My number two is one Stacey's already talked about, and that is Gnome
Oh
Hollow.
my
All
goodness.
right, so Rolling
Oh,
Hills.
Rolling Hills. I don't. I don't even know where to start with this one. It's got cute little foxes on it. The colors on this just make me want to go run through the hills and sing the sound of music. I don't know what it is. But it's just very inviting. It just looks like it would be a super relaxing game to play. And it just, to me, I just want to go take my picnic basket and my blanket and just go and lounge out there for hours and take a nap. And just hope that these little foxes would come up to me so that I could talk to them.
Nice.
So I just absolutely love this cover.
So I'm curious before I get into No Mahalo, why did this one jump ahead of Rolling Rivers with the mountain and the bear and stuff? What
So
do you think it was
the
about this one?
colors on this
The
one,
colors on this
the
one?
colors on this, that gold and that like brown and the I'll call it like mushroom color and the like mocha color, like just all of these browns, and the yellow, I guess that would be yellow.
Some yellows and goldish and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
like just the color combination that they used on that just reminds me of a Sunday, like a Sunday outing with your family,
Nice.
you know.
Okay.
I'm very family oriented and I'm very nostalgic.
Nice.
And so like this is again like something that we would have, went and took our blanket out there with a picnic basket of fried chicken and chips and all that good stuff and just spent the day out there playing,
Nice.
It's just,
I just noticed the middle foxes pouncing.
yeah, he's a
He's
cute
cute.
little
Nice.
fox.
Okay. I was just curious
Yeah.
what since they were both on there.
And the other one was a grizzly bear. And,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I do love me a good grizzly bear. If
Okay.
it was a grizzly bear, I'm
Nice.
calling it a grizzly bear.
Nice. Nice. Okay. As far as Gnome Hollow goes, uh, Stacey said a lot of stuff that I'm gonna say as well. I love the font on it. I love the lowercase. That is all lowercase because it feels like it fits with gnomes. I
Mm-hmm.
like the kind of the G that they used and the on the W how it kind of wisps up and away. I love the background. We'll start from the back. The background with that sunrise coming up over the mountains and the hills, and then you kind of come up and you can see that middle stump, which is an integral part of the game. And then you can see the paths coming off it. So you can see all those mushroom paths with the rocks, which is what the game is. You're building rock paths with mushrooms on it. So you can see all the different mushrooms, and you can see a couple of the different gnomes. I'm surprised they don't have all four gnome colors on. And I think one of the things I really liked about this one is that it does have this background, but it has this giant focal point, and the focal point is to the side, which is a really key thing when like taking pictures a lot of times is getting like your main focus to be on the side of a picture instead of, and I really like that they brought this blue gnome all the way to the front. It is really big and everything else feels like it's in the back. I love his walking stick. I love his nose and his hat and his long beard that's touching the ground. So I think that's one thing that really kind of drew me into this one is just it feels like a picture that you would take if it was real people, where you're like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
want to get you, but I want to get the background, and the best way to get the background is to have you to the side and have everything else behind you in the background. And I love that gnome. I love that blue gnome. His nose sticking out, and his smile, and his big bushy beard, and his walking stick and stuff. So yeah, Gnome Hollow was my number two.
He's
And once
adorable.
again, the designer and the artist and the logo of the company are on there, but they are faded in and they are small enough where they don't take away from the cover.
Mm-hmm. Good choice.
And that brings
My
us to our number
number
ones. What
one.
is your number one?
My number one is one that you've already talked about,
Okay.
and it is Nocturne.
And my number one is one that you have not talked about.
Ooh.
Um, very rare on this list, and that is Forges of Ravenshire.
Oh, look at that little guy. Um, so my reasoning for the Nocturne being my number one is different than what yours is, but similar to what yours is. So I don't know if I can explain this accurately, but again, I grew up in Montana. Where I grew up in Montana, we did not have fireflies. And I always wanted to see like a real actual firefly.
Hmm.
Like that's something we missed out on. And so when I look at this cover, at is I'm looking through it through my little girl eyes, and I'm seeing me like in my backyard looking across somebody's yard, seeing fireflies throughout this like forest, I guess it is. And then even the fireflies lighting up the nocturne words. Like,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yeah, so um not only is the fox like beautifully drawn with his, I guess it's, is that a sword,
I
or
can't
I
tell
can't
on the
tell if it's a
picture
walking stick
or if
or,
he's just holding something and it's dripping down and the
yeah.
magic is kind of dripping. I think he's holding something and the magic's kind of dripping down to the
Yeah.
ground, lighting up all
But
those
I've never
mushrooms and
played
stuff.
this game, so I don't know what it's about. But
This is one we got
that's,
to get to the table.
yeah.
It's
So that's what this cover reminds me of, is being a little girl and like holding wish of fireflies, and running
nice.
through this field of
I like that. I
fireflies.
like that. I like that.
Yeah. So it's really cute, and it just,
Nice, nice, yeah.
I have seen a firefly since then, though.
This
So
this is this is
just saying.
this is the company that Cascaded Calico, all that stuff. So
Oh,
yeah, this was
okay.
their Kickstarter last year.
Okay.
Um,
I like it.
all right, my number one, Forges of Ravenshire. Um, so I really got big interested in forging. Not that I do it, but I really got be with the TV show Forged in Fire. I've seen every season. Um,
Every episode.
every episode of every season. We backtracked to watch some that we didn't have access to right away. Just a really, and it's just a really cool thing to see people like make these weapons and stuff out of just with their hands and stuff and heat and metal. And I love this cover. I love this badger. I think it's a badger.
I think it's a
Yeah.
badger.
And his tongue sticking out. He's got this big old hammer. He's striking out. You can see the sparks flying. You can see him holding on to it. You can see this big old anvil. You can see the smoke behind him. Um, I like the font on this one. I really like the white with the red around it. It feels like it's glowing in the flame, and you got like when something gets so hot it turns white. So it almost feels like the words got so hot that they became white, and the rest of it is just the right color. Um, I will admit that when this one was on Kickstarter, we did get to vote for which cover we liked the best. This is the cover I voted for.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love everything about this cover and just the fact that the badger and everything is kind of out front, and then you got like this smoke in the background. Just you can tell he's really working hard. And you got like all this smoke going from the forge, and you can see the sparks flying. So
Hope
yeah,
he doesn't bite his tongue.
yeah, that would probably not be a good thing.
That
So
would hurt.
I love his expression. I just love everything about this cover. So that is Forges of Ravenshire. All right, going
Ooh,
back to big. Oh, yep.
we had a little warning on that.
Let
Okay.
me. There, we can go back to that now. We can go back to that. We had a big on screen. It was a little big when we went back to big. All right, so there you have it. There's our top 10 2024 owned game covers. Lots of crossover for different reasons. I think there's only two different ones. Mine, Forges of Ravenshire, and Wanderlust. Oh, and Donut Shop. So I had three that you didn't, and
Mm.
you had three that I didn't. Cascadia Rolling Hills, River Valley Glassworks, and Harmonies. Harmonies. Oh, Harmonies. Oh, I just realized Harmonies didn't make my top 10.
Hmm. I'm just surprised that Donut Shop didn't make my top 10.
I'm a little surprised it didn't make yours. I'm kind of surprised it moved into my top 10, and I'm a little surprised that Harmonies did not make it, and River Valley Glassworks didn't make it.
You can't have them all in your top 10.
No, you can't. I mean, those are great covers. Like Stacey had 10 great covers. The three that she had that I didn't, I like those covers as well. We had lots of covers. Like I said, some of the covers that didn't make mine had those reasons of the words, it was just too many words, or the designers and the artists and all that stuff just took up a lot of space on the covers, that I wish it took up less space, and some of those games probably would have made my list, or the font just didn't do it for me or something. There was reasons. So those were kind of things that I look for. I do believe that the artists and everything and the designers should be on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
um, but I also don't want them to take up like a quarter of the box. Like I think it really takes away from the beauty of the cover when they do. I think nice small top, bottom, yeah, list them all. But
A lot
yeah,
of my covers are because I'm an old sentimental yokel, and it reminds me of something. Like the gnomes. My aunt makes gnomes, and
Nice.
so of course I had to have those in there because it reminds me of my aunt.
Plus, it's just a cute cover. I
It's
mean, just adorable. I
adorable.
mean, I don't even think it would have to be because I
No,
think it's just a great cover.
no. I used to make gnomes of different
Yeah,
assortments, and so
yeah,
I'm just an old softy. So if it's sentimental to me, I like it for
yeah.
the most part.
Nice,
There's a
nice.
lot of covers that I think are just absolutely beautiful, but they just don't resonate with me. Like I don't have a connection with
Right,
them.
right.
Even though I think they're absolutely stunning, and you can tell that the artists put a lot of work and effort into them, it just.
Like you still appreciate
Mm-hmm,
what they are, and that's where we
absolutely.
look at things differently. She looked at a lot of stuff at sentimental or things, and I really looked at like the composition overall. I took a lot of art classes when I was in high school, so I kind of looked at it at a different scope, and I think that's great because people can look at art in different ways and have different reasons. And we still had 7 games that crossed over at some point, and we looked at them different ways. So, yeah. Let us know what your favorite covers of the year are, whether you own the games or not. Drop us a note down below and let us know what some of your favorite covers of 2024 games were. And also hit that like and subscribe button. If you like this video and want to see more, please hit that subscribe button up above. And if you want to see more of our top 10s, you can follow that link. Once again, this has been Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
I'm Ian,
I'm
and we'll
Stacey
see you next time.
at the table.